Good morning. Welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, February the 4th. I've got a doctor with us today. Dr. David Lancaster from Capital City Medical Center. He is in the midst of all of the sick people with COVID. He has put together a photo essay. It's called Broken.
Yes.
What are you trying to accomplish by doing this?
So, a lot. I'm the medical director of the inpatient rehab unit, and I started to see the post-COVID patients who have sequela from the disease, most notably strokes and extreme debility. And I wanted, after seeing these patients and seeing the nurses and the staff in my hospital really become very fatigued and overwhelmed with the numerous waves we've had of this pandemic, I wanted to start a portrait project. And originally it was just going to be photographs. And I went to the ICU to start there. And as I was taking their portraits, I started listening to their stories. And their stories were really, really powerful. Now, in the photograph, you could see a lot in their eyes.
Right.
And you could tell the emotion and what they're feeling. But I felt they needed, I needed to tell more of the story. So I came up with this idea after eating at an outside cafe. You know, the menus are all use QR codes. And you look at the menu on your phone.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I can record their audio story, put it on a QR code. You have the portrait hanging up in the studio, the caption below, you go on their QR code and you can listen to their story. And I want the public to be witness to what's really going on in this pandemic. Because we hear so much on the media, and a lot of it, it's good information, and there's a lot of really misinformation and intentional misinformation. But I've never really heard the stories or saw the pictures in the eyes of the people that are taking care of this pandemic.
Yeah.
So I started in the ICU with the nurses there. I went to the emergency room and did portraits and stories there. I went to the COVID floors, did portraits and stories. Then I started working with the patients that were on my rehab units. And pretty much everybody agreed to tell their story and let me take their portrait. And then I decided, let's go a step further, and how about the administrators? Because they're dealing with this pandemic from a completely different end. Mm-hmm. They're on the macro end of trying to figure out how to get PPE, how to coordinate with other hospitals. And I go from that end to the patients who have been affected, to the nurses who are living it every day.
And when you look at some of these pictures, they're also holding up signs.
Yes.
Telling you, one picture has anguish as a sign.
Yes.
Was that a nurse?
Yes. So in the beginning of this project, I decided I want one word that summarizes what they feel about this pandemic. And once that word is used, nobody else can use it.
Okay.
So I came up with some examples, and then they could choose whatever else they would want it to use. And anguish is an ICU nurse. And her story, it's one of the more powerful stories that I've recorded. And she really told me about how she lives in these two different worlds. She lives in a world where she has patients dying on her watch in the ICU. And then she goes home to her friends and family who think this is a hoax and it's not real. And that is a struggle I've seen several of these nurses go through, of living in these two separate worlds.
Right. So they're seeing it firsthand.
Yes.
But then people that they love are refusing to accept the reality that coronavirus does kill people.
Yes.
And they're refusing to take the vaccines.
And it's really, really difficult. It's difficult on the staff. It's difficult on me because, again, I'm seeing a lot of the patients on my unit who have not been vaccinated. And, you know, the vaccine is not a 100% guarantee. You're playing a numbers game. And you're trying to eliminate as much risk as possible.
Correct.
And it's simple. It's the vaccine and it's the mask. And if you play the odds, your chances of coming out of this are much better. And what I've seen too, which was an eye-opener for me, because I was skeptical of the vaccine. It came out so fast. We needed something. But I had a patient who just, when he had coronavirus, it was nothing more than a sniffly nose. But he ended up having numerous strokes from it, because one of the things that coronavirus does, it makes the blood hypercoagulable, basically thick. And once you have a stroke, your life is changed forever, or it can be, depending on how bad the stroke is. And that to me was the eye-opener of I needed to hedge my bets. That if I do get sick, I won't get that sick with the vaccine, or maybe I can avoid getting sick altogether.
Well, we're almost out of time here, but
Yeah.
I have the same problem with two people that I care for very much, refusing to take the vaccine.
Yeah.
And they're in my family.
Yeah.
Because they feel it's a hoax. And no matter what I say or what I do, it makes no difference. What do you say to people? And you're a doctor, and you see this every day. Tell me.
I tell them the truth where I came from, of being skeptical of the vaccine when it first came out, and in what I saw as the end result of those who have not gotten vaccinated. And, you know, when they're still fearful of like, well, I don't know what they're putting in. I don't want to put something in my body that I don't know what's in it. Eat a hot dog.
Exactly.
What's in a hot dog?
Exactly.
How many
Eat
times
a hot dog, or pick up some of the fast food treats that you get in the grocery store and turn it over, read the label, and I guarantee that those people cannot tell you what those ingredients mean.
Yeah.
Come on. You know, and it's a responsibility that all of us had. What if we had refused to take the polio vaccine back then?
Yes, yeah. And I'm really firmly believe, and a lot of my staff does do, that it is a personal responsibility we have to society, we have to each other. And how many times have I've cut myself randomly and inoculated whatever was on the item that cut me, that it's you have no idea of.
Doctor, we're out of time, and I could talk to you for hours.
Yeah.
But the exhibit is called Broken. It'll be where?
Orr Street Studios.
Orr Street Studios when?
It's going to be February 4th.
Okay.
First Friday.
All right. Dr. David Lancaster, Capital City Medical Center, we appreciate you coming by, sharing your information, and I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
You need to get you back again.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.